Good morning, everyone. We have some great chairs up front. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to 1 Million Cups Tulsa. We got Simon. My name's Tim Vickers. We have Baron and Ryan over here. And Brad Post in the blue in the back looking so sharp. And then we have Dustin Curzon all the way back from DC. In the house, 1 year older. Welcome, Dustin. Great to have you here. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. You may be asking yourself, or you may not, but I'm still going to tell you, what is 1 Million Cups? Well, 1 Million Cups is a weekly get-together. That's why you're here. We go 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll have 2 startups present for 6 minutes. And then from there, we open it up for about 20 minutes of question and answer from you guys. You can ask pretty much anything, but sort of what our goal is that it's something that encourages or accelerates growth in the entrepreneur of the company. You can also make suggestions if you want. We are now in 34 cities, 1 Million Cups is. It started, I guess the question is of how it started. It started in Kansas City via the Kauffman Foundation family. They're the #1 funder of entrepreneurship education in the world. And they were getting raked over the coals by the entrepreneurship community in Kansas City saying, okay, you fund education, but what are you doing to actually connect entrepreneurs? So they hired this young guy who was 22 right out of college. They said, figure out how to do something cool with entrepreneurs. And he started 1 Million Cups with 12 people first week. They now have 250 to 300 entrepreneurs every Wednesday in Kansas City. And then they built out a model and started expanding to different cities. Tulsa was, help me guys, 21st, 20th? Something? Sounds good? 20th?
You tied there. But there was 2 that opened up the same week.
Yeah, so we were 20th. And now we've got 34. They'll be at about 50 by the end of the year. So what's exciting about this family now is once you get to present at a 1 Million Cups, if you do well, and we like you, and you're really attractive, and you have a lot of money, and you give us some, then we will endorse you to go to other communities. So we're not just cross-pollinating you guys in the room in Tulsa, but now some of our Tulsa companies are going to other cities, like Dallas, Kansas City, St. Louis, into Little Rock, maybe into Bismarck or Fargo, Orlando, San Diego, and sharing Tulsa companies with the nation. So it's really exciting. That's what 1 Million Cups is. All right, without further ado, we'll get to our first startup today. I'm going to introduce you to Bill. Bill is the CEO founder of Vision and Escape for Women. It is an online platform that's sort of doing a little bit different twist on the traditional advertising model. And they also have a magazine, a radio show. So it's a very interesting startup, and he's looking to expand into Tulsa, and then we'll hear a little bit about his national expansion plan as well. So give it up for Bill this morning.
Thank you very much. It's always kind of hard to start when you find out you're already screwed. I'm not attractive, I don't have a lot of money, so I guess this is my only shot. But first of all, thank you for coming out and hearing a little bit about our company. We're truly an out-of-the-box company. For the past 3 years, I owned a magazine here in Tulsa called The Tulsa Magazine, which was for professional men. We purposely did that to have our own niche in the market. Oklahoma Magazine and Tulsa People had been around for years. We wanted to go after the male demographic because we felt like no one was really doing something for the professional male. The problem is the print industry is kind of dying nationally, and everyone loved our content, but they were trying to figure out how we could get it out to more people. And right about the time I realized the magazine was more of a hobby than a business, we got a phone call from KRMG here in Tulsa saying, we love what you do, would you be interested in taking this and creating a radio show with it? Light bulb went off and we're like, you know what, we have great content, but our platform is not what people want. So we decided, how can we make this into a business instead of a hobby? And that's when Vision was created. Our company has a simple philosophy, and it's the same reason probably all of you guys are here today. It's making that connection, getting connected with the right people that can have a positive impact on your life and on your business. You never know who that person's going to be. It could be the person sitting next to you, it could be the person that they introduce you to, and so forth like that. It really only takes one person to have a positive impact on your business or on your life. The key is, how are you going to meet that person? How are you going to make that contact? And that's what we try and do. So I asked a simple question. Are you tired of wasting money in advertising? most people do not know how to get a good return on their investment in advertising. And I don't care what platform, whether it's print, radio, TV, billboard, anything, it's hard to track your return on investment, let alone know if you're like really making money off of it. And unless you can own a platform, you're probably wasting a lot of money on advertising. And you're talking to a guy that's been in the industry for over 20 years. So I do believe in marketing, I do believe in advertising, but if you can't own it, you're probably losing out. So what we try to do is create a whole new concept, and we call it membership marketing. But as you see, our mission is to connect you with the people that can have a positive impact on your business and on your life. Pure and simple. Whether we have to go out and reach 100,000 people to do it, or if it only takes 10 to find that one person that can really move your business in the right direction. Well, how do we do this? We do it over multiple platforms and multiple methods. But first of all, you're probably asking, who is this guy? How does he know anything about marketing, advertising, all that kind of stuff? My first job in radio was when I was a freshman in college. I did play-by-play football for a small town in Vermont. I went to college in Vermont. My freshman year, they liked my voice. They said, hey, how would you like to do football? Huge football fan. I was like, right on, I'm all over. By the age of 23, I was the program director of a classic rock radio station. I worked on air for 7 years. Finally realized, unless you're syndicated, you're probably not going to make the money that you wanted to make. I looked at all the sales guys, the cars they were driving, and so forth like that, and said, hey, I'm going to go do sales. So for 7 years, I was in sales, working my way up. I was the sales manager at a little station here in Tulsa you might have heard of. It's called The Edge. I did that for a few years, and then I went into corporate marketing. I worked for some great companies like Anheuser-Busch, US Cellular, and then I was the national sponsorship and marketing director for a little footwear company called Crocs. At that time, they were booming. It was like, we called them Crocs years. When you worked at Crocs, 1 year was like dog years. It was like 7 years because it was just bam, 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 as fast as you can. But through that, Crocs were not cool with college kids. Anyone in college that saw Crocs were like, those things are ugly. My grandparents wear them, or my little brother and sister wears them. So my directive was to make Crocs cool in college, and we started the Crocs Next Step Campus Tour, which was a national college music tour, and it got them popular on the college scene. I ended up taking that college tour and making my own business with it. We did that tour for 6.5 years with different sponsors, Xbox, Ford, Major League Baseball, and so forth. So kind of been working for myself, or I should say unemployed, for the past 7 years. But anyway, Mid-Vision and Escape for Women gives us an opportunity to do target marketing for both professional men and professional women. If you're targeting men, you need a different message than if you're going after women. In almost every advertising spot that you hear, you really can't do that. People try sometimes to do a little bit of targeting, but if you're on TV or if you're on radio, they're going after the masses. So what we try to do is give you a platform where you can target, let's say you're an appliance store. If you want to sell big screen TVs, go on Mid-Vision and create marketing strictly for men. If you want to sell washers and dryers or kitchen and so forth, create a different ad on Escape for Women. So we have 2 separate platforms. It gives you an opportunity to go after those markets. We also do our magazine still, but instead of doing it 6 times a year, we only do it twice a year. It's going to be a thicker magazine. It's going to be more important to the community. Once we're going to do what's called the annual manual, which is a guide for professional men living in the community. And then the other one is the 50 most influential business people. So we have kind of our lifestyle magazine, and then we also have our business magazine. We do non-traditional networking as well. So instead of going to a chamber breakfast or so forth like that, we have what's called men's nights out. And actually tomorrow night, I'd like to invite you all. We're having a men's night out at BIA Training Solutions in Jinx, which is one of our members. So we'll be promoting them. We also do a weekly radio show on KRMG called the KRMG Man Show, and it's everything that professional men like to do, whether it's golf, hunting, fishing, cooking, building a man cave, you name it. It's basically fun on air. We want our members to be...
It's hard to let the community to interact with you, engage a little bit. So we're gonna maybe if you want to plant something for us to ask, we'd be glad to get
Ask me about our Rising Star program.
Okay, let's ask about the Rising Star program. But now is our chance to engage with Bill and ask him more about Metavision and Escape for Women. And let's start. And so, if you have a question, either get Mike or Dustin. Wave your hand, Dustin, over there on the side. Get either of our attention, and we'll get the microphone to you when it's your turn. So, could you tell us a little bit about your Rising Star program?
Thank you. We understand, especially with this audience, our membership is truly for all types of businesses. And I had a slide up just a second ago that talks about some of our existing members. We have one of our members, which is Fitness Together, here with us today. But we also know that there's a lot of businesses that are up and coming, that have young entrepreneurs, and we want to support that spirit. So we've created 10 memberships that are strictly for what we call Rising Stars. You have to be under the age of 30, you have to be in business less than 2 years, and you have to be willing to work with one of our existing members. You have to apply for this, but if you're willing to do that and you want to get a start and make connections that can have that impact on your business, then we're going to offer you a 50% discount on our monthly membership. The reason why we're able to do this is because we're going to connect you with a business that wants to see you succeed, but you're going to have to help them succeed as well. So it's kind of a mentorship program on steroids. So anyone that's just getting started, wants to be on radio, print, networking, all of our platforms for a 50% off fee, you could be one of our 10 Rising Stars. So that's something that's very important to us, is to help breed that next business level.
Question.
So, how much is the membership? And then another kind of quick summary of your benefits. You've mentioned some of them, but just the bullet points. So here's your benefits.
Our 5 platforms that we have are our weekly radio show on KRMG. We have print media where we own our own magazine. It's called Metavision and Escape for Women. That will come out twice a year. We also help you with all your social media. So if you have a social media plan in place, we're going to put it on steroids. We're going to make sure that it's going on all of our platforms as well. If you don't have a social media plan, we're going to help you with that. We're going to get you your Facebook, your Twitter, your Google+, your slideshow. You name it, we want to make sure that you're out there as much as possible. We have live networking events every single month, and they're men's night out, and then also on our Escape for Women platform, we're having wine time, where it might be at different facilities around the area, but we want female entrepreneurs to have that same chance to connect, mingle, bond in a comfortable, relaxed environment. So I think that's all 5. Web, social media, print, radio, and networking. And membership is $500 a month, and you get on both platforms.
Looking at all the different businesses that are on the last slide, you have a different range of all the different categories there. Are you limiting membership within like 1 member per category? That way there's not internal competition, or is it 2 per? What's the competition level on that?
Great question. We are limiting our membership to 50 members. And we only allow 2 members per category. And the reason why we do that is we also want to give everybody a choice. We don't want to flood our membership with a specific, we have 2 roofing companies, for example. So roofing is already sold out. We have 2 insurance companies already, so that's already done as well. But it's all about connections. There might be a great guy that owns roofing company A that you don't like, but you might have a connection with roofing company B. So we want to make sure that we're giving all of our members and all of our audience choices, but it is limited to 2.
Can you maybe walk me through, if I'm the consumer, how am I connecting with your customers, which are actually your business, and what does that look like, and how many of me do you believe you're connecting the businesses?
Each platform has a different audience, and we're promoting each platform through the other platforms as well. So on the radio show, we're promoting our social media, our web, we're promoting our live events and so forth. On social media, we're promoting, so it's kind of an internal marketing combustion system that promotes each other. Our radio show has tens of thousands of listeners each weekend. Our websites, every week we have certain thousand people that check them out. We know how much we're getting. We get thousands of views on each one of our posts on Metavision or Escape for Women. So it's a combination of everything. networking events could be anywhere from 30 people to 80 people. And again, that's your chance to interact personally with each one of those individuals. And so we try, like, for example, we had a men's night out at Michael's facility downtown here. The people that we invited that we wanted to be there were either people looking for personal training or that interacted with his business, that they might be able to create some kind of connection there to where they can feed each other business through that.
You mentioned that a lot of companies waste their marketing dollars or at very least don't know how far their marketing dollars are going. So what metrics or processes do you have in place for measuring the value they're getting from a $500 a month membership?
Truly on the connections that we're able to make. For example, I use Michael. You know, he's a member, and if we're able to connect a certain amount of potential clients for him that turn into clients, then each quarter we can track, okay, how much return on investment have you got? So again, it's not how many impressions you're getting on the radio show or how many people saw you in the magazine. It's truly how much return on your investment have you gotten. If we're not there, what can we do to get there? By owning all our own properties, we're able to make it an open canvas. If you're not getting enough out of this, let's get you on there more. If you want to be on the radio show more, let's get you on there. Let's make a special segment. Let's do something creative. Michael is our contributing editor and will be nationwide for the fitness category. So he was one of our first members. That was my promise to him is not only do I want to help you get clients here, but I want to help you create a brand where you are the fitness guy on all of our platforms. And one thing that we're trying to do is take this nationally. Our goal is 20 markets over the next 5 years. We already have people in Wichita, in Minneapolis, in New Orleans, and Kansas City that are interested in taking this concept to those markets. So this is not just a Tulsa thing. And when you look at our websites, you'll see that they have a national feel, but with local flavor.
On the Escape for Women, are you, like, in my experience so far, there's a lot fewer women-owned businesses in Tulsa. So how are you bringing them together, and what does the networking event look like? Is it, where your people are just meeting and talking to each other, or is there some sort of event? And you have someone, like a female entrepreneur herself, running that?
We have a few females that are helping us with our content right now because, trust me, I don't want to be the guy writing the fashion ads for Escape for Women. I mean, you would read through it immediately. As you can tell, I'm not as fashion forward as some of the other people in the room. But what an event looks like would be a wine time at Pinot Palette, where we would have our members and invited guests to come out, have some wine, do painting, relax. It could be, a day at the park with wine and cheese, but as you can tell, wine is a big thing when it comes to our female entrepreneurs, and we wanted to make sure that it's a fun, engaging, entertaining thing. The other thing we try and do is have our members host the events whenever possible, so you get to see what other members are doing in their business, and you can then become a brand ambassador for them. It's one of our keys on both sides, making sure that all of our members realize that there's a common goal here, and that we're working to promote each other's business, and that we become brand ambassadors for each other.
I have a question back here. Can you put it into context? You said 20 markets in 5 years, but what does the market look like in Tulsa so far, and how long have you been doing this?
We're about 3 months in right now from switching to the magazine to this multi-tier platform. Right now we have 16 members. Our goal, like I said, is to get to 50 members. Once we get to 50 members, then we will really start pushing to get into the other markets. I hate the word beta market because it makes it sound like Tulsa's a test. Tulsa's not a test. Tulsa is my hometown, it's my passion, it's where I was born and raised. This will always be my market. We're looking to take this into other markets through licensees. So a licensee would then pay a licensing fee. They will actually create the platforms that they offer. We'll have the web forum, we'll have the magazine forum, but it's up to them what different things they want to do. So if they want to have the networking events, if they want to make connections with the radio show, and then they can dictate what their membership fees are. So we give them kind of a guide, and that's why it's a licensing program instead of a franchise.
Do you see yourself as being in the same spaces like B&I and Gold Star, or you consider yourself to be totally different from that?
I consider us completely different because those are purely networking opportunities. We have multiple marketing platforms that we own. So B&I doesn't have a radio show. They don't have a magazine. They're networking opportunities, but the other thing is they only allow exclusivity. So you make a connection with a lawyer that's a member of your BNI group, all of a sudden, you're together for a year, you make that connection, they leave the group, a new lawyer comes in, and all of a sudden you're supposed to change, your alliance to that person when your friend's gone. Who are you really going to do business with? We want to build relationships that last a lot longer than that, and that's why we don't have strict exclusivity. We have a couple options for you. But we're more of a connection as far as marketing than a lot of the networking groups are. So,
can you explain what your web platform is? Is it a single website called metavision.com where I can find affiliated businesses, or do you actually create websites for the various businesses?
We can create websites. We have an internal person that can do that, but our web platform is Metavision. It's actually metavision.co. Someone already owned metavision.com, and they weren't willing to part with it. And there's nothing on there. But it's metavision.co and then escapeforwomen.com, and that's where our content, national content comes in. You can see if I can go back a few slides here. But you can see that everything that's on there ranges from entertainment, style, gear, food and beverage, health and fitness. On the women's side, it's fashion, wine and dine, travel, around the house, the salon. So we want to make sure that the content speaks to the active professional, both men and women. So you can go on there, like on Wednesdays, it's Watch Wednesday, and we have a different high-end watch that's on there. Thursday's Travel Day, Entertainment Day, Wheels. So we talk about different cars. And so basically, when you get off work and you want to relax, that's our concept, is that you can go to our website, kick back, and enjoy it. Same thing with our social media, with our radio show. We don't want you thinking about the stress that you go through from 9 to 5. We want to be that, as it says on the women's side, the escape for the professional woman. And then for Vision, the guy that's out there working hard, that has a vision for his company.
I think one thing maybe to think about as you were presenting, I was Googling and trying to find, I went to metavision.com first, then I Googled it, and metavision.co doesn't come up. So have you thought about how to increase your rankings in the search engine so that...
It's actually listed third on the first page.
I don't know. For some reason that didn't work for me.
Okay.
And then maybe, I guess my second question is, right now I'm on Escape for Women, and there's a weekly escape on Nepal, and it looks awesome. How do I go about, is there a link, or how do I go about actually extracting, is that just telling me about Nepal? Or,
correct.
Okay, so it's not necessarily like I go and get a deal on the escape.
Correct. And that is something that we are looking at. Escape for Women is a lot newer than Metavision. It was kind of, like I said, we originally were a professional men's platform, but when we switched over to this model about 4 weeks ago, we're like, why are we not doing this for professional women? So you'll notice that the content on Metavision is a lot more than what's on Escape for Women right now, and it's strictly because Escape for Women is less than a month old. So we are building that brand and getting it out there a little bit more than what we have.
I think the blog Pinterest type deal is great.
Thank you.
Actually, I second that. I'm looking over the men's one. It goes over ales, some style, the Wednesday watches one, and it's actually really good content. The thing that I feel like you're missing here is that you don't have any share buttons along each individual article.
There should be. There is if you're on a computer. When you click on that article, there is a share button. You do have to click on the actual article to get the share button.
Okay, that's maybe an oversight on the mobile side, because I can't click on the article and there's no share in the mobile, and more people go on the mobile side too.
I agree 100%. And I'll definitely talk with our developer today.
Bill, I'm just curious, was there any thinking that went into the labels? Why wouldn't it be women of vision?
We actually polled about 20 women, business owners, housewives, you name it. And it wasn't just people that we knew. We reached out to some other people. We reached out to a few of the PR agencies in town, and it just didn't ring a bell. It wasn't, and we did have some people that said Escape for Women doesn't really speak to a professional woman. And I was just like, when you get off work, what do you really want to do? And Escape, when we explained it that way, the whole concept of, okay, this is for a power woman, this is for someone that's active, aggressive, and so forth. Because when it boils down to it, everyone wants to escape. So that's why we came up with that instead of calling it Women of Vision. It just didn't seem to ring with people that we polled.
Okay, I have a question here. So, would it be fair as a reader going to your site that that competitors from the Men of Vision might be Ask Men or Men's Health, those type of online magazine content providers?
Competition, yes and no, because each one of those has a very specific target as to where we're trying to go after the entire professional male. If you really took Rolling Stone, GQ, Esquire, Men's Health, Men's Journal, and kind of morphed them all together and gave them a local feel, that's really what we're going after. We want to be a little bit of everything for the professional male. Instead of having to go to Esquire to get this and then go to Men's Health to get this, we want to be a little bit of a one-stop shop for that.
Got time for one more question.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the networking events, like what to expect from those? Like you said, there's an open house tomorrow. Is that going to be, are all the members going to be there and then it's open to the public, or how do the networking events work?
When it's an open house, it is open to the public, and when we host them at some of our member facilities, we want to have as many people feel like they can come as possible. We absolutely invite every single one of our members to come, to bring guests, to do networking in that respect, but the reality is life does get in the way, so we don't expect, if you're a member, you have to be there, but it is a great opportunity to network in a relaxed environment. It also gives you an opportunity to see what our members are doing. BIA Training Solutions is another out-of-the-box company. They use non-lethal ammunition to teach people in a 360 environment how to keep their family safe. So, I mean, if your family safety is important to you, if supporting local business is important to you, if you support the military, I strongly suggest at least going out and seeing what Clint and his staff do tomorrow night. Whether it's tied to us or not, this is a personal plea. If your safety or your safety is important to you, you need to go see Clint. He's an ex-Green Beret, amazing guy. It's worth going out there and checking it out.
Okay, and then the last question, what can we, the community, do to help you get to the next level?
Two things. We are looking for some equity investors to help us get to the next level. So if you know anyone that would be interested in being a part of this, the investment level is pretty minimal for what we're able to offer. And then just help us get the word out. If you can go on Facebook and like our page, Men of Vision and Escape for Women, and keep giving us feedback as far as content, what you want to see. Again, I don't consider Tulsa the beta market. I consider it the incubator market, the one that's going to take us to the next level, that's going to allow us to, make our mistakes, grow, and then get this out to where people see it nationally and be like, there's a lot of great people in Tulsa. So I take a lot of pride in, our connections here. And the other thing you can allow me to do is, help me help you, as they say in Jerry Maguire. If you're looking to make those connections and you want to meet people and so forth, call me. Let's go to lunch and let's figure out how Men of Vision can help your business. Whether you become a member or not right now, it's that's our goal. So we want to see you succeed, because if we can help you succeed, then you're going to tell people about us and you'll become our brand ambassador.
Okay, well, thanks, Bill. Let's give a hand for Men of Vision. All right, Brady. All right, well, like Tim said, my name is Baron Ryan. We're so glad that we have you here this morning for 1 Million Cups. We have a few announcements, and just to let you know, if you perhaps missed the links that are involved with the announcements, all you need to do is sign up for our weekly newsletter. We send it out every Monday, and that includes all the announcements that are relevant for that week. And we also give special offers sometimes, so if there's a discount for a company that's presented here that they offer, then you can have that link there to sign up. So just send us an email at the given address. Today, the Lobeck Taylor Family Foundation is hosting an entrepreneurial asset map discussion. And we should be, Tim, have we tweeted that link out to the one? I tweeted it at Baron CP, so if you want to go, then make sure that you respond and and then show up today at 5. The Mind fellowship final presentations are Thursday, May 22nd. Two of our regular attendees, Ryan McDaniel, who I don't think is here, but Mike Noche is here, are going to spit hot presentation fire on that day, Thursday, May 22nd, so make sure you come for that. And then we're going to say farewell for a little bit to Tim Bickers, who's going to Zimbabwe for the next 3 weeks. So we wish you well. On Twitter, the hashtag will be Tim and Zim, so you can keep up with what he's doing there. All right, our second startup is called TokenEx. Oh my goodness, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I just distracted myself. So our next startup is called TokenEx, and with Target and Neiman Marcus being in the news recently of having their data compromised, this is especially relevant that TokenEx is a company that secures your data. So let's give a hand for the doctor, Jerry Dawkins.
Can you hear me? Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to come and speak today. TokenEx. TokenEx is a data security platform. And just out of curiosity, in terms of knowing my audience, how many people have actually heard of payment card industry, PCI? Okay, quite a few. That's good. So a quick history on TokenEx. TokenEx actually derived as a startup company, was a spinoff company from True Digital Security. And True Digital Security, we are an information security services firm. So we deal a lot with supporting companies in addressing regulatory compliance. So name an industry, I guarantee there's some sort of cyber security requirements that's coming down. Whether it be PCI, credit card usage, or HIPAA with healthcare systems, something's happening. And in doing that work with these companies, we realized quickly that the way people manage data within their environment complicates things. It makes things very difficult to secure those environments. Think about the Target breach, right? Target was PCI compliant. People always complain about, well, they still had a breach, so were they really compliant or not? The challenge in the cyberspace is that we're dealing with very complex systems and complex challenges. And so what TokenEx essentially does is TokenEx replaces sensitive data with data that is worthless, essentially, a token. Okay? So in the credit card space, we try to extract the real credit card number as quickly as possible because there's only two people that actually need a credit card number. You, the person that holds the credit card, and then the processor who needs the credit card. So I like to say in the Target breach scenario, would TokenEx have stopped that breach? The answer is no. The breach would have still happened. But with TokenEx, the data that was stolen from Target would have been worthless. Does that make sense? So the breach would have happened, they would have stolen something, but the numbers that they would have stolen would have been worthless outside of that space. So obviously, in this area, the payment card industry tends to be the most technically advanced. If you look at some of the, NERC, which is the power industry, or HIPAA being the healthcare, the payment card industry is actually really interesting and unique, and that was our primary target with TokenEx. So actually, if you think about the credit card and you look at large companies, there's a lot of different payment channels that they have to secure. If you think about it, they got the customer service rep. You call up somebody and they want to take a credit card, so they're punching in a credit card number into a terminal. Or you go to a retailer and you're swiping a credit card and you're punching your credit card number in. Or possibly they're a donation facility and they're getting credit card numbers in via the mail. There's e-commerce, obviously. So dealing with these payment channels is kind of where the TokenEx plays. And ultimately, we're interested in two things. One is reducing risk, which if you don't have the credit card number, you reduce the risk of storing that credit card number. And the second piece is regulation. If you don't have the credit card number, then regulations don't apply. So if you think about PCI, how many people have like an e-commerce site that they actually transact credit card? Okay, so What's interesting in the regulatory space is that when you're looking at PCI, do I need to comply with PCI? I don't care if you're using like a Stripe, most people have heard of Stripe, or Square, or if you're doing some sort of complex transaction with some other processor. PCI applies to you. And I think sometimes people misunderstand how regulations apply. Does anybody fill out like an SAQ, or does any of these terms mean anything to anybody? Okay, so essentially, if you touch credit card data, you have to comply to some regulation. And that regulation is extremely thick. Regardless of, even if you're a small merchant like this, you have to comply to these 289 regulations. It's how you validate that becomes the question. There's multiple ways that you can validate to that regulation. And depending on how big of a company you are, is how you define on how you comply to those regulations. Essentially what TokenEx does is we take those compliance obligations and we restrict it down to the minimal amount by securing the edges. So fundamentally, how does this happen? Well, if you think about it, think about a large enterprise that, like I said, is doing a lot of e-commerce transactions. They're taking credit card payments internally. They have to retain the credit card number because, in the case of a rental car, they might keep your credit card number and then later charge it. So internally, there's a whole lot of business processes going on. What TokenEx essentially does is via a cloud service, we allow you to kind of centralize all that payment chain. So who are our customers? We've got a wide range of customers. I was talking earlier about kind of the global presence. Our customers we're doing transactions in every continent. Minus Antarctica, there's not too much business going on in Antarctica. Insurance companies, a lot of nonprofit organizations. We're definitely expanding and growing the business, and I know that you're standing up. I usually get like an hour, and you're like, you got 5 minutes, and I have to explain regulations.
Well, I think we got a good start. Now's our chance to engage with Jerry and talk about more of how TokenEx works. So who has a question for Jerry?
So we are using Stripe. How would you integrate with Stripe to lower PCI compliant burden?
Yeah. Okay. So Stripe is great for, I guess, e-commerce transactions at the cost of you're paying a premium for that. So in the case of Stripe, you still have to do all the regulations. In fact, if you go to Stripe and you say, if I use Stripe, do I have to deal with PCI? They say yes, you have to deal with PCI. In our case, in the TokenEx case, the only thing that we're going to do, Stripe would somewhat be a competitor to us. The main difference is Stripe is a gateway. We are processor agnostic. And I think that's a key thing. So we allow you to send to any processor. So you can save transaction costs. The biggest thing is how much is each transaction, what percentage are you taking, right? So if you were to go to like a large corporation and try to do Stripe implementation with them, they're going to say no way because the cost is going to be too great. And besides that, they only support the e-commerce transactions. So there's card present transactions, there's batch file processing, etc.
Go ahead, Claire. On your left here. Okay, on your right.
What's the customer experience? Someone who's making a payment with someone who's using your service.
So that's a great question. So our customer is, let's say, what was one of my clients, because we can only talk about certain clients. Ace Insurance Group. So our client is Ace Insurance Group, and Ace Insurance Group is a $40 billion company that sells insurance programs. In fact, if you go to Best Buy and you want the extra warranty on the device, that's actually Ace Insurance Group. So let's say you go to Ace. Our customer is Ace, and we're integrated in the back end with Ace Insurance Group. You're the consumer, so you go to Best Buy and purchase insurance on your iPhone. The user, you will never know that you're using TokenEx. We are completely transparent, independent, and that's part of the value that TokenEx brings. So in the case of Stripe, or in the case of, well, maybe not Stripe, but PayPal, if you ever go through like a checkout experience and you click, checkout and then you get redirected to PayPal, you're reducing some risk because you're transferring it over, but you lose that customer experience. And so our whole process is by the time that the TokenEx is complete, you don't even know we exist.
So that kind of answers my question. I was after who your customers are, and maybe just elaborate for this group. If it doesn't affect me, then is it these sort of companies? I'm kind of getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
What can we do for you? But go ahead and elaborate on where it can help.
Our customers range, and I was talking about some of the larger companies, just because they have complex, back to my little complexity in their back-end processes. We help streamline those, but we also have customers that are very small. Like one of our customers is they deliver liquor in New York City. And so the interesting thing with that is that you can, if you live in New York, you can type in you want to buy a bottle of liquor, and you will submit, and they will pick the liquor store that's closest to your location and then deliver it directly. That way they have no cost in terms of storage. The challenge that we saw for them was they support like 30 different liquor stores across New York City. So they can't use a single Stripe instance. And these liquor stores have their own processors, right? And so since we're processor agnostic, they allow to store the credit card and then ship that transaction off to whatever processor. So really from a small organization, we kind of help reduce risk and then allow you to save money on transactional costs. From a big company standpoint, we help isolate the payment card space and remove, we call it toxic data from your environment, that being credit card information.
On your left, back here.
I have two questions. First, do you store credit card information?
Yes.
So TokenEx stores the credit card information?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So then my question becomes, I wasn't expecting that. My question then becomes with PCI compliance and Target being compliant and all that stuff, do you simply not just ship the crosshairs from a Target to TokenEx?
Yes. So let me explain that.
Well, what makes, so then the follow-on question would be, why is your data more secure than Target's if you're storing the information?
So great question. Did I see this? Because that's perfect. I promise I didn't see this question. Okay, so here's the situation. Yes, we are storing the credit card number. Why are we storing the credit card number? Because these companies need the credit card number.
Yeah.
They have to go back to it. So yes, we're storing the credit card number. Why are we more secure than Target? Because Target has branch locations all over the globe. You've got thousands of call service reps. You've got thousands of computers that are all handling this transaction. You got, going back to this problem, right? You got massive complexity. In the case of large insurance companies, you've got policies that are flying around all over the place. You got literally thousands of external vendors that are all collecting data, trying to push data into this business so that they can conduct their business. And within that complexity is where the Target breach came in. How was Target breached? Target was breached because an HVAC vendor didn't do their job correctly, right? So it only takes one hole. So let me ask you this, from a security perspective, is it trying to secure and put controls around each one of these cogs? Or is it easier to isolate focused?
I'm tracking with you. So I think, so what you're saying is your value is you're outsourcing security to a specialized firm as opposed to letting a retailer manage my credit card data.
We are so focused on information security. We've got well-defined boundaries, and nobody has access to our environment.
That's good. Thanks.
Good question.
Two questions really. You mentioned you bring the regs down for folks, make it simpler. Is that really on the digital side only, or my experiences with businesses are, you mentioned call centers, they be taking calls, all of a sudden you got violations there, or you've got forms coming in, like you mentioned, they've got written credit card numbers on them. Do you help folks on that side with the consulting, and how does your fee structure work? Is the transaction fee or is it percentage?
Yeah, perfect. Yes, we help out on the phone calls to digital records. Like for example, one of our clients, they receive the forms and then they store them for regulatory purposes, right? And they store it in their documents. Well, because there's a credit card number on that form, now this whole system and the document management becomes in scope. And now they have to audit and validate everybody that touches that document management system, which is pretty much everybody in the company. So what TokenEx does is, as that form comes in, typically it comes in through a third party, right? So it's coming in from a third party that gets scanned, and this is one way that TokenEx works. We redact that form. So quite literally, it's an image, black it out, send it on to the document management. Now the document management system doesn't have the credit card. But for regulatory reasons, you have to go back to the credit card. So, but it's got to be a controlled environment. Back to the question about, so yes, we retain that data so that if you need it, you can get back to that data through a very controlled and isolated front. So we do that with several different fronts. OCR, with card present. We have a point-to-point encryption device, a physical hardware device, instead of using a virtual. And then you asked about that key structure. Oh, key structure. We played with this several different ways when we were starting things out. I forgot to mention too, the company started on an OCAS grant. I actually submitted for an ORS and obtained like did obtain $300,000 in state funding. So I think from an entrepreneurial, that was kind of an interesting tidbit that I'll show through. But we played with a couple different ways that we were going to price structure. Honestly, since we're in the payment space, our customers hate fees. They hate transaction fees. And they hate that, so we are really kind of, we have a tier-based model. It's based on utilization. We are in the cloud, so it's per transaction. So you can kind of whittle it down to a per transaction.
Take us some questions.
I have a question over here.
You go ahead.
Sorry. What's sort of your background? How'd you get started? Where did you come from? This is a very complex industry. And then what does your team look like? How long have you guys been around? Those sort of.
Yeah, perfect. Like I said, my background and true digital securities background is on the cybersecurity space. So we were Cyber Corps program, went off to DC, served our time in the federal government, various agencies, three-letter agencies. We actually started out True Digital Security as primarily a security company. So we do a lot of pen testing, code reviews, assessment work. And from there, kind of my background is research, and I'm a developer by trade. And so we always come up with stupid ideas. This is one of those stupid ideas that we literally sketched out and acted, and we said, I'm getting phone calls literally from small pizza shops saying that they got a letter from their bank about being PCI compliant, and they needed a quote from me. And I think my response back to them is, don't take credit cards, this is a pain. And I was like, there's got to be a better solution for these merchants. As an entrepreneur, you guys are wanting to sell, and so taking transactions online is obvious. Or in the healthcare space, if you want to get into healthcare, and part of the burden that you have from an entrepreneurship standpoint is how to deal with these external regulations. And so True Digital has an extensive experience in dealing with these regulations, which has really helped TokenEx thrive and grow in the business. So yeah, our background, cybersecurity experts and regulation experts, which combine to produce a product that.
All right. A related question. Could you talk about? You mentioned that you are working on all continents where people have permanent residence. How did you get to that level in such a relatively short period of time?
Yeah, good question. If you look at our client base, the ones that are listed and the ones that aren't listed, it's kind of funny because we're doing business with $40 billion companies, and I'm coming in the door and I'm telling these $40 billion companies, trust me with your data because I can do it more securely than you can. Oh, I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you can send all your transactions through us. And we're talking about Asia Pac, Australia and Latin America. And they're all sending their transactions through Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm retaining all this data. How can I sell this as a startup company? And really the heart of it is we know our business. We understand regulations. We understand security. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. If we can walk in and I can talk directly to our clients about what are the regulation issues and how we can help support those. And then if I can convey to them about, from a security perspective, that it's much easier for me to isolate and secure one little environment as opposed to their complex environment. That's what we've been very successful in doing. So my team, you know, the question about my team before, you know, my team we are cybersecurity experts, right? And so that's voted well. And then the industry experience and dealing with how to sell to the big companies. So things like SSA 16, SOC 2 and 3. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. Trust security principles. PCI compliance. I need to stop. We are PCI compliant. And we were able to achieve this level of compliance at a much faster, rapid rate than another startup company that might not really understand PCI compliance. They're just kind of stepping into space. So it's really helped us in securing some of these larger deals.
So you had an idea on the back of a napkin, got OCAS money, and now you're serving global, multi-billion-dollar clients. But what keeps you up at night? What do you worry about with growing TokenEx, and what are some of your challenges that you see ahead?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you know, for good people, I think, you know, it's in any kind of business, you know, it's really easy to come up with an idea. The idea doesn't mean anything. It's executing on that idea. And even getting the OCAS grant, I mean, that's just, you know, a PhD from TU. I'm used to writing papers, so I'll submit it, and, you know, and they gave us some money. Development wasn't hard. You know, I was a computer science major, and I was made fun of business guys because they couldn't hack in computer science, so they chose business. But now looking back on it, I'm like, man, these business guys, they know what they're doing. And marketing, there's a lot to running a business, especially especially growing and dealing with some of these $40 billion companies. Project management is a big issue with us, right? I'm coming in and we are literally re-architecting financial systems within global enterprises, you know, that span multiple, it's like 60 some odd different countries and 3,000 different vendors that are all pushing data into this. And so it's extremely complex, and they're looking to us as the experts, right? And so it's finding good people to help manage that process. In terms of the actual technology, at the heart of it, tokenization is a pretty simple problem. You know, you give us a credit card number, and I give you a different value, right? And I store it. So that part is easy. The complex part happens at that business side, right? And so I think that things that keep me up at night are just really not even the infrastructure, because I have a lot of very smart guys that are focused on it. But it's really kind of servicing our clients, that project management side of things, and how we can grow the business. And not just in payment space. I mean, healthcare. I mean, the insurance company, whenever we went in there and we were talking about integrating our platform into their bank account information, the executive says, I could care less about credit cards. I care more about social security numbers and names and addresses. Tokenize that, get that out of my environment, because I don't want people to know that. What people don't realize is that, you know, a credit card number, there's actually financial, you know, you can buy and sell credit cards, but social security numbers and names are extremely valuable in healthcare. Why? Because people are doing a lot of insurance fraud. They want access to health insurance. Anyway, but yeah, I think it's growth and how to grow responsibly. It's probably the thing that keeps me up.
So you mentioned your attention towards small business, these entrepreneurial groups over here, and history's littered with failed companies with great technologies that just weren't really easy to use or plug in or integrate with. So what is TokenEx doing for making it usable for a small business to integrate that into their business?
It's a great question, and I'll even segue that, because one thing that I guess to make it easy, our platform is extremely simple to use, and it's not complex, right? It's give us a credit card number, we'll give you back a token. we can make it more complex than some of the other ways, but we do have I think a very clean and robust kind of documentation standpoint. We've got good customer service and support staff. And then really integration-wise, it happens pretty quick. But one thing I was going to offer up to this community is free access to our system. You know, I'm interested in, there's a couple things that I'm interested in. One, I'm interested in supporting the entrepreneurial community, and I understand some of the challenges in starting up a business, especially in a highly regulated business. So if you guys have interest, reach out to me, and I'll give you access to our system for free, and you can be processing transactions with authorized.net in like 2 seconds. So I'll offer that for free. And then the second thing is, you know, then once you get big enough, then we can start talking about something. But the other thing is, as you guys are pursuing your various endeavors, whether it be in the healthcare space or if you're taking e-commerce or whatever those are, reach out to me. We've got a tremendous amount of experience. Or if you're trying to sell into large enterprises, reach out. I can help guide you and kind of support that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it has to be easy to use, and our system is not complex. The beauty and the power is in offloading the responsibility, offloading that risk, and knowing that we can handle the security and have the security controls that are much more robust that you could, not because you can't do it, because your environment's too complex to do.
And then lastly, you've talked about this a little bit already, but could you recap for us what we, the community, can do to help you TokenEx get to the next level?
Yeah, I think to take TokenEx to the next level, I mean, I'm probably interested in a couple things. I mean, we're always looking for business. But more than that, it's good people, you know, and growing with good people. So if you're out there and you're interested in this space, or you have an interest in complex environments and project management skill sets, or development skill sets, or a system administrator, we're definitely looking at hiring and growing good talent. So I would say that, and I would also say, I'm always interested in, our initial niche was the payment card industry. And why was it the payment card industry? It's because it's more well-defined than healthcare. But I see our platform working in a lot of different industries, which is why I'm also interested in, if you guys have any business ventures outside of even the payment card space, how can we implement your solution? So I'm looking at growing. Ultimately, I'm kind of a visionary. I like to tinker and play, and I see some opportunity in the healthcare space. I'm already working with a couple of individuals in the healthcare space and trying to do some concepts. So it's fun. So I say, if you guys have problems, come to me, and we'll see if I can't help you solve some of the security problems.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Let's give him a hand. You can give out. I think, Tim, did you tweet something on the free? Okay, perfect. So awesome. You guys talk to Jerry, and Bill will be here as well afterwards. This concludes our 1 million cups. We are vibrant and things are going well. We're booked into about mid-June to end of June. But we're still always looking for companies to present. With this summer coming up, we want you to invite friends, invite family. I'm thinking about trying to get my older teenage kids to come with me one morning. So invite your kids out. But going into summer and we're still kicking. So we'll be back here next week at 9 a.m. You guys have a great week.